In this video, we're going to be talking about the latest BCDs out there for you to consider, and it's called the hybrids. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and also in the bottom right down here in the description, I'm going to be putting links to any of the equipment that we look at. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video, because what I'm going to be doing is I'll show you what makes this TUSA Conquest hybrid a very unique BCD within the realm of all BCDs. So the question's been, what is the perfect BCD? As the BCD has evolved, it's been through many styles, iterations, concepts, features, and today this is the latest and greatest. These are called hybrids. Now, the question is, what makes a hybrid? Now, some companies may call a hybrid a travel BCD, where they cut all the harness and the bladder and everything they possibly can down to a minimalist situation. Really, that's a travel BCD. The hybrid comes in when we take the early jacket style BCD, or even the current jacket style BCD, and we take that concept that gives the very upright position on the surface, and of course underwater with a minimal amount of air in it to make you neutrally buoyant. It gives us a nice positioning, but it doesn't force you into the neutral buoyancy position. Now, when we step over and go to the back inflate BCD, or the back plate and wing type BCD, back plate and wing, extremely minimalist, and but can be configured with steel, aluminum back plates, even soft plates out there. And of course the back inflate BCD, where we kind of take the harness and such from the jacket style, and then we put just the bladder and it attaches pretty much just to the back. The storage areas become, and weight pocket areas become, very minimal and such. And of course, underwater with minimal amount of air in those, they tend to force you into a neutral buoyancy position because the bubble is basically on your back. And there is no side bolster type of extension on the bladder. If we take the best of the jacket style, and we take the best of the back inflate styles and start bringing them together, that's where we come up with the hybrid. Now, how can you tell you're looking at a hybrid? Well, many of them will just say it. Other keys, not always, but other keys can be this. If you'll take a look right up here, you'll see where the bladder is attached to the harness. You see how it stands off? So it actually doesn't curve, and it's not, the bladder's not sewn into this shoulder portion of the strap. It actually stands away. Now, when we look down, and what I've done is I've really expanded and blown up this bladder. And you see what happens is, now this would be like if you were on the surface, and now this bladder's 2/3, 3/4 full, and the air's blown in, and actually it's forced into this part of the bladder that extends into the side bolster. Extends right through here. I'm going to deflate this, and you're going to see a fold in this bladder here, and there's a piece of elastic right here that's going to cause that to close, and it keeps this bladder very small. So I'm going to take some of the air out of this. All right, so now you can see where the elastic has pulled this in, and it's caused this fold to go in place. Now this fold and such, if you're underwater and you add a minimal amount of air, then when this BCD's in that neutral buoyancy position, then this fold here this becomes like the bladder on a back inflate. That gives you the benefits of both the jacket style on the surface and the back inflate underwater, the best of both worlds. Now, I suggested you stay to the end of the video because this particular hybrid BCD is a bit unique. And I've been asked to recommend BCDs in the past that kind of fit the best of both worlds, or even all three worlds. And what I mean by all three is I'm talking about those divers that are beginning divers. What most facilities do is they will use jacket style BCDs because, again, on the surface, when a student inflates the BCD 2/3 or 3/4, then the jacket style BCD, the student just sits upright. Whereas if it's a back inflate and they fill it 2/3 or 3/4, then that big bubble on their back tends to force their face in the water. As an open water diver, could you use this BCD? Absolutely, absolutely. This is a great BCD. As an advanced diver, do you have to go to a back inflate? Absolutely not. This BCD acts as a back inflate underwater. So it's great for your more advanced divers. And of course, for scuba professionals like dive masters and instructors, we spend a lot of time on the surface in water too deep to stand. And so that when we're floating on the surface and we're talking to students, we don't necessarily with a back inflate want to be leaning back because you get a crook in your neck, but we don't want to lean, really far back. We want to be able to look at our students and our divers and be able to converse with them. So this BCD does that also. This particular BCD has a couple of other features I want to point out. It does have a right shoulder dump. Really important in a BCD, a right shoulder dump, because normally a right shoulder dump vents air 3 times faster than trying to utilize an inflator deflator. And of course, in a neutral buoyancy position, a lot of times you're going to have to hold this inflator deflator in a U position, trying to get the air out, or the diver's going to have to roll up on their right side to be able to hold this up and get air out. What's unique about this TUSA BCD is that you see we've got a deflate button here. We've got an inflate button here, and then we've got a third button. And this particular button is interesting in that when you squeeze it, it'll actually deflate off of this back left shoulder. So it's a supplemental back shoulder dump to the right shoulder dump. A lot of times, as instructors, we see people get addicted to holding on to the inflator deflator. Sometimes they tend to forget, or maybe their BCDs don't have a right shoulder dump. So they tend to get addicted to inflate, deflate, inflate, deflate. But a lot of times, again, to deflate, they've got to stop, stand up to get the air out of the BCD. With this, you just squeeze that side button and it vents off that back shoulder. Pretty cool, right? All right, so back here on the back, there's also what we call butt dumps. Now, most BCDs only have one, either over here or over here. The Conquest II, has 2 butt dumps, or lower dumps, whatever vernacular you want to use. And of course, this is important when you're head down, fins up, because the air is going to move down here. So you can either dump from this side, or you can dump from this side, whatever is the highest point. Really nice piece. That's what makes this BCD so unique in the world of hybrids, and I recommend this BCD for any level diver. Please consider subscribing, and of course we love to hear comments. Please post them below. We'd be glad to answer them as quick as we can. And if you would like more information on this BCD, look right there in the description. There's a link to it, and also to many other BCDs that we offer here. If you have questions, call one of our online divers. We'll be glad to chat with you. And of course, as we always say here at Diver Supply, dive safe. Thanks again.